Hi there. Thanks for listening. I just wanted to do a quick Bible study on some verses about cowardice. I just Googled these. They're on bible.knowingjesus.com. I just wanted to start with Revelations. Just find that. But for the Revelations 21, verse 8, but for the cowardly and unbelieving and abominable and murderers and immoral persons and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars, their part will be in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So this is just to say that God hates cowardice, and the cowardly are ranked among murderers, immoral people, sorcerers, idolaters, and liars, which is to say that, cowardice is a form of idolatry because, you're putting that fear ahead of God. You're putting that fear ahead of telling the truth and bearing those costs because, in Satan's kingdom, which is where we currently live, Satan's kingdom is founded upon lies, whereas God's kingdom is founded upon the truth. So in order to, see God's kingdom come to fruition, we really need to be able to tell the truth and bear those costs, incur those punishments. And, unless people start making those sorts of sacrifices, I don't see anything but just a complete demonic torrent of just a complete shitstorm on the horizon. So hopefully we can start being a little bit braver. Okay, so just continuing with verses, John 12, verse 42 to 43. Nevertheless, many even of the rulers believed in him, but because of the Pharisees, they were not confessing him, for fear that they would be put out of the synagogue, for they loved the approval of men rather than the approval of God. So, obviously, God's prophets, people that tell truth in this world or represent God, aren't incredibly well liked. Generally speaking, they're not popular. For the most part, they are rejected and hated of men. And so people, obviously don't want to take that burden upon themselves. So they will do anything to distance themselves from the truth and those who speak it. That just goes to show the situation we find ourselves in where, we're going to be hated. And that's just something we have to wrap our heads around and start to accept. Okay, so John 7, verse 13, yet no one was speaking openly of him for fear of the Jews. So yet again, there are people in authority who don't want their authority threatened or questioned in any way. And so they will inflict punishments upon people who bring that authority into question, their unrighteous rule into question. Okay, so continuing along, John verse 22 to 23. His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jews, for the Jews had already agreed that if anyone confessed him to be Christ, he was to be put out of the synagogue. For this reason, his parents said, he is of age, ask him. So this is just a little Bible story about Jesus Christ's, miraculous healing of this young man. And the parents here are so intimidated and scared of the Jews that, they refuse to acknowledge the miracle that's occurred. And they actually pass the buck on to their son and ask their son to, bite the bullet and either confess or deny Jesus as divine. Okay, so continuing along. So Matthew 21, verse 26. But if we say from men, we fear the people, for they all regard John as a prophet. So this is just referring to, a good kind of cowardice, which is making our enemies afraid. And this is something I just want to point out is that these Pharisees, these kind of mainstream politically correct people, are actually terrified of the truth and of anyone who speaks it. So, if you are going around, representing the truth, being uncompromising, they fear the people. So we need to start making them afraid because, they're dirty liars and they're just filth and just the scum of the earth that don't deserve these positions. They don't deserve to be lecturing us on racism and, we're bad people because we don't want our races genocided within our ancestral homelands. No. This is just got to stop. We have to, make, these people feel a little bit of cowardice themselves. So let's just continue on.